Hey guys, and welcome back. And before I get started with today's video, I want to just bring your eyes to a few things, and I know you're probably going to pinpoint that anyway. First thing is I am improvising in this week's video because it is incredibly bright. I don't know how in London, considering we're used to rain and, gloomy weather all the time. It's incredibly bright, so I've had to improvise and bring my nostalgic kits of the past up as basically blinds. So, if you like that idea, if it adds to the scenery, then maybe drop a comment in the comment section below. That'd be brilliant. I kind of had to sort of think on my feet with this one here, but there you go. And the second thing you might have noticed is yes, I am wearing an Italy jersey, and that is obviously because Italy won the Euros on the weekend, and I did not get the chance to wear my kit on the podcast because it was in the wash. So yeah, I'm sorry, Ollie, for this one, but I've got to really wear this one for today. And obviously, it's much of the dismay of the England fans out there. But it's, one team's got to win it. But we're not focusing on international teams. We are obviously here to focus on Milan. And the deal's not done yet. I know the deal's not done yet. And it's probably not something that's going to get you off your feet. But we are very close to locking in a deal for Olivier Giroud. So once again, like Mike Mignon, like Fikayo Tomori, a new signing is soon to be announced, so I should do a bio video on the player. So we're going to go through obviously his career past, his his attributes, his strengths, and reasons why I think this may or may not be a good signing. So getting into the bio of Olivier Giroud, he is 34 years old, soon to be 35 in September. I know what you're thinking. This smells like a Mario Mandzukic deal. I'm going to come on to why I don't believe it's like that. But I have to sort of detail the player, his history, recent history in club and international form, why I believe that he's much different to Mandzukic, and I'm hoping he'll give us a lot more of an output. It's not really hard to improve from no goals, but I feel like he's going to be completely different to Mandzukic. But let's go into his strengths. Obviously, his age we've just spoken about. His main strengths is probably his finishing, like any striker should have. He is a very good finisher, left-footed, not a very common thing to find these days with centre-forwards. I don't really know a lot of it, true centre-forwards who are left-footed, but obviously Lukaku rings a bell, but other than that, there's not really many I can think of. Most are right-footed. Fantastic finisher when it comes down to it. Can score from pretty much anywhere in the box. He's quite an unorthodox finisher as well. If you watch a lot of his goals from the past, you'll see things that are just very intuitive, a lot of flicks, and there's a fantastic goal he scored for Arsenal where he just does some sort of scorpion kick from just inside the area, and it's absolutely incredible. Not to say he's going to do that for us, but I'm just saying he's got it in his locker. He's not just a traditional centre-forward where you have to put it on the plate for him. He can improvise. He can get little flicks on, all these sort of things. So that's a fantastic thing to work with. Secondly, is his aerial threat. He's very good in the air. He scores quite a few headers, and that's good for obviously covering set pieces, defensively, offensively, challenging in the air from goal kicks, long balls. He's fantastic in the air, and he's obviously built like a traditional centre-forward with a bit of athleticism to him when it comes to adaptation and going for balls that you don't think a traditional centre forward could go for. Other than that, really, we have a centre forward. He is fantastic with his hold up play, links in very well with the centre midfielders. I feel like it's a lot of, and that's key for us because obviously we play with a 4-2-3-1. He has to get involved with the attacking midfielder. He has to get involved with the wingers. That's something he's used to. France played that formation prior to, in the World Cup 2018 where he found it quite successful. There's a lot I feel like that can tick to make this work. And, hopefully things sinking. There is a lot of obviously French players in the Milan club right now. We signed Mike Mignon, Theo Hernandez, Pierre Kalulu. That's obviously going to help him embed himself into the team. And yeah, so I feel like, with those strengths at play, there's also a lot of misconceptions about the player, mainly due to his age. He's not slow. He's not a slow centre forward. He is not someone who's going to move, 5 miles an hour. But he's also not the fastest. But obviously in Serie A, you don't have to be the fastest. It's all about this. It's how you use your mind, your brain, how well you can embed yourself with the tactical systems that are in play. And I don't have an issue with his speed. I think it's going to be good enough for this league. Another thing as well, he is not injury prone. Yes, he's picked up a few knocks in his career. Everyone does. No one's, unless you're Frank Kessie. He's been, his last injury was January 2020, I believe. And he was out for about 41 days, close to a month. Since then, not really been injured, but obviously not been selected much since Tuchel was taken over for Chelsea. So, let's just see on that one. I'm not going to sort of say he's not injury prone or he won't get any injuries from Milan that will affect us next season. but we'll see. But so far, I can't sort of point towards him being injury prone. So far, so good. Now, you're not 34, nearly going on 35 without having hopefully a good career. And let's sort of peel through the stats of his career for the main clubs he's featured for. The first one is the Premier League. Obviously, Chelsea, Arsenal, he's been there for quite a while now. He has played 255 Premier League appearances, has 90 goals and 32 assists. This tells me, especially in the assist department, that he wants to get involved with not just finishing. He wants to get involved with making assists. I love Ibrahimovic, but he doesn't get many assists. Maybe the players around him aren't good enough to bury the chances that he provides. I just don't, I think he's more, especially at the age of 40 in October, we're providing him. We can't expect him to also be setting up goals like he was doing 10 years ago when he was with us. Giroud, he's someone in his career who's provided quite well for the team. Obviously, knockdowns from headers. Our new attacking midfielder, whoever it may be, might be eating onto that. Very similar to kind of like how Nocerino did with Ibrahimovic back in the 2011 season. So maybe find some similarities there. Peeling off from his Premier League history is his history in France. And a lot of people just don't remember this. Maybe you weren't, you're not a big France football fan. But at Montpellier, he had 73 appearances, 33 goals and 17 assists in the French First Division. And that's where obviously he managed to gain a French Ligue 1 title. So he was fantastic at Montpellier. That's why Arsenal took a punt with him and brought him to the Premier League. Following on from that is obviously his Champions League appearances. This is for me the main reason why we signed Olivier Giroud. Because yes, Mandzukic has this under his belt as well. Bayern Munich, Juventus, etc. But the reasons why Mandzukic didn't work was because he was so out of the fitness with the top European leagues. Giroud has consistently been in the Champions League. Yes, a few seasons, I guess, in the Europa League. That's not really his fault. That might be the fault of the club, Chelsea, Arsenal, where he was at. But he eventually got there to the Champions League and has consistently made appearances in it. 41 apps in the Champions League, 18 goals and 6 assists. That isn't too shabby. That's pretty good in my opinion. That's something we need, especially going into a competition that we've not been in for nearly a decade now. So we're going to need that. We are really going to need that from him. Also, if I'm going to add this stat into it as well, coming from the competition that we were in last season, is the Europa League. He has 20 appearances in that competition, 14 goals and 5 assists. Fantastic. That is a fantastic stat. I know a lot of them came in one campaign where I believe he managed to score 11 goals in a campaign in the Europa League. Obviously, 11 out of 14 is quite a lot from that, but still 14 in 20 appearances just goes to show you that he's deadly in whatever format you want to put him in. Okay, so he's good at club level, but what about international level? France, fantastic international side, a plethora of options to pick from. Mbappe has come onto the scene and completely smashed it. Obviously, we're going to ignore his penalty miss against Switzerland. Nonetheless, they are fantastic. The World Cup winners of 2018. Has Giroud got a lot of appearances? Yes, he does. He has fantastic appearances, fantastic stats under his name for France. He has 110 appearances for France. Just goes to show you that they like him quite a lot. He has 46 goals for France and 13 assists, carrying on his club form into international form. And it just goes to show you that it just doesn't matter really where he plays. A lot of managers like him, a lot of coaches like him, a lot of teammates like him. Otherwise, you have to think of another French centre-forward as well who has smashed it at club level, but things haven't gone his way internationally, and that's Karim Benzema. Obviously, there are other things at play there. There are a lot of disputes with him and the international side, but maybe he's just hard to get along with. Giroud clearly has shown that he's fantastic to get along with, and that's something we're going to come on to later. So he's got all these career stats under his belt, loads of appearances, loads of goals, quite a few assists as well, which is not expected from a centre forward, but fair enough. That's good to have under your locker. Shows you're a teammate, you're a team player. You're not just working for yourself. What has he won? What has he won in his career? And he's pretty much won it all. He's won the World Cup for France, like as mentioned, in 2018. He won the Champions League for Chelsea last season. Yes, he wasn't a prominent feature since Tuchel took over from Frank Lampard, but prior to Tuchel taking over, Giroud had a massive importance in the group stage there. So he has a few goals from that campaign. Champions League, World Cup. What else has he won? He won the Europa League with Chelsea as well. Arsenal fans won't like hearing this as well. He was part of the Chelsea side that decimated Arsenal in the final in Baku in 2019. So he's won pretty much everything on the European scale. He won a French title with Lyon in 2012 with Montpellier, and also if we're going to throw it into the trophy cabinet as well, is his 4 FA Cups with Arsenal and Chelsea. 3 for Arsenal, so I will give you some credit on this one. 3 FA Cups for Arsenal and 1 for Chelsea. So he has trophies under his locker, and that's important coming into this side. Once again, we have a winner. We have someone who's been there. We have someone who's done that. That is important. We know we have a young squad. We keep going on about this all the time. It's a young squad. It's a growing squad. We need winners. And when Ibra is out, we're going to need someone who knows how to win. We need someone who knows how to score on the biggest of stages. We need someone who's been there and done that, regardless of the stage, internationally or at club level. So yeah, I've been firing off all these things, but I'm going to calm down right now. I'm going to calm down because I'm going to give you my thoughts on the player. Very subjectively. I want to be very subjective about it. Even though I do like the signing, let's just sort of talk about the player from a down-to-earth basis. First thing I have to say, we are getting a complete professional in the game of football. As mentioned, players love him, coaches love him, and that's telling. He's someone who has played, second striker, even third striker sometimes in his career, and just never complains. And considering we have someone with the, I don't want to say ego of Ibrahimovic, but I don't know, the characteristics of Ibrahimovic, and he likes being the main man. We need someone who is happy to rotate, happy when Ibra comes back from injury, that Ibra wants to play the derby, for example. And he's not going to complain. And Giroud is exactly that. So he's a complete professional in that department. And as mentioned before, with his trophy cabinet, he's a winner. He's a winner. He's someone who has won anywhere and everywhere he's been at. So we can't really want more from someone who's going to improve the winning mentality in the squad. Someone, especially in a lot of games last season, when we could have just made lives easier for ourselves and gotten simple wins, and we ended up coming our way with draws. I can't help but think about the results like the Sampdoria draw, for example. Giroud would have been key. It would have been key there. A nice option to come off the bench or even start the game, and it just give us something we need. Really give us something we need. As mentioned before, he gives us help with the Ibra issue that we have, that he has. It's not really an issue. It's just more that he's really old. He's really old. He's 40 in October. I keep mentioning this all the time. But injuries are catching up with him. And I feel like he's one injury away, serious injury away from calling it a day. Not to say that Giroud is the answer. I do think we still need another young player to come into the squad, a young striker. Because obviously there's the whole thing with squad management. I would love us to sign another top tier centre forward to go along with this. Pending there is a deeper issue with Ibra. Let's just wait to see till we find out about that. We can always make that decision in January if that's the case. I would like a younger profile to come in, pending Ibra is okay, and we have Giroud. Someone young comes in to learn from these two absolute Adonises of centre forwards, especially considering the fact that they are in the sort of final stages of their career. This young player will be happy to learn, knowing that his opportunity will be waiting for him in a couple of years' time. And regardless if that's that Caio Jorge player from Brazil, apologies if I massacred your name, or not, someone come in young to also be a nice little wild card to come off the bench. So I'm not saying it's Giroud and that's it. We need to obviously add to this squad even further. Other than that, a lot of benefits from the deal come from the fact that it's such a low transaction, or the transfer that's included. Well, rumours are saying it's €1 million plus another million in bonuses. Yes, we could have got him on a free transfer, but obviously Chelsea might have been a little bit salty from what we've done with the Fikayo Tomori deal. Not really our fault; it's more their fault. But regardless, they wanted to make a little bit more money coming back, so. Here's €1 million plus a little bit more. That's really nothing for that. That is pretty much the lax out money that has just been thrown at that, with a little bit left over. His salary is pretty moderate, €4 million a year from what I'm hearing. That's not too bad. That's pretty good actually. I would say that's sort of around the level that he should be, a level he wants to probably be at, and doesn't really hamper us and puts our sort of wage structure out of sync. So the money behind this transaction is pretty good. As mentioned before, there is clearly a French connection in the squad. Mentioned Mike Mignon, Teo Hernandez, Pierre Kalulu. You know, a lot of players also do speak French. They might have come from French leagues or have some, you know, experience in those leagues, like Rafael Leao. You know, that's good. It will help him embed himself into the squad a lot more easier. I do feel like Maldini and Massara are targeting players who have played in France or are playing in France. Another one is the young left back we've been linked to as well. Forgive me, I've forgotten his name. So there's clearly, it's going to help him. It's going to really help him get him straight into this squad, because this is also a risk as well, is the fact that, you know, he's not changed leagues in quite a while. It took him a while to get used to the English league. He didn't start off amazing with Arsenal. It took him a while to get into it. And obviously he was a lot younger back then. And then obviously carrying his form from Arsenal going into his Chelsea career. And a lot of fans from both clubs will big up Giroud quite a lot, because they love what they saw from him. They saw dedication, hard work, you know, clinical finishing when it came down to it. So, you know, I'm just hoping we get that transferred over into the Serie A. I feel like it will, but that's always going to be a risk, and also another risk as well with signing Giroud, as we keep saying, is his age. We don't know the extent to his injuries. Is something going to come up? You just never know. You know, I thought at the start of last season Ibra would go through it and be completely fine, but obviously he got burnt out. So it will be down to purely to manage this one perfectly, especially when he has a lot more depth at his disposal. And I hope it just doesn't burn out certain players, especially if they're in the older department, like Giroud, like Simon Kjaer, and uses the squad rotation much more fluidly. So wrapping up things, guys, I do like the signing. I said it on my Twitter quite a while ago. I do like it. It resembles a complete move, kind of like Edin Dzeko, and I like him as well. I would have loved either of the players to come to the squad. And it seems that we're getting Giroud. It was linked back in the start of June by reporters back then, and even though he signed, well, Chelsea activated the renewal clause, I still knew that this deal would get over the line, because it would take a few figures to get done, you know, a couple million euros, and obviously he was away with France in the Euros. It was bound to happen, in my opinion. It's clearly going to happen potentially when you're watching this video on Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. Don't be surprised if he's taking his medicals on those days. I'm happy with the deal, and guys, other than let me know if my temporary blinds are good, I want your opinions on this as well. I want your opinions on this one, and as well I want to bring up the video I done last week, and because it's all just opinions here, I guess. You know, I'm giving my opinion from someone who's been a fan for a long time. I'm not saying I'm right. You guys as well, you're entitled to your opinions. The Pobega situation, it might not even happen. And yeah, I just sort of wanted to say that I always read the comment section. I do appreciate your opinions on this one. We're always entitled to our different opinions, so just keep them coming, because I'm learning as a fan what also people like and what people want to see. And I'm not always right, so yeah, put your comments in the comment section below on what you think about Olivier Giroud, and I'm hoping I don't get massacred this time around, but fair enough. Until next time, guys, you'll see me back in a Milan shirt next week, but Forza Milan.